This is the SPCE 1-month overview reading for February 2023. It's currently January 17th, 2023, 2:24 a.m. Eastern Time. The overall theme and behavior for SPCE in the month of February, we have sideways rotation along key support, rising to meet the nearest critical resistance and then falling back down and continuing to rotate sideways along that key support. It's crossed with a failed attempt to break through key resistance. And it looks like that failed attempt to break through key resistance, the correlations all stack up here on the 7th and 8th. And then one more time on the 27th, which is why I have this possible location of another highest high, because they could be the same price level. Behavior around the highest high, there's an agreement between two leaders or a merger and acquisition of some kind that's highlighted around the highest high, and there should be like a holding pattern with a pop and drop there. Behavior around the lowest low, there'll be a notable decline to reach the lowest low. It'll be a notable opportunity, a trade opportunity as well, which we'll get into in the paid version. There's some significant stuff going on here. There's a unicursal on the 17th, important to point out. Yeah, there's some pretty solid trades in here. But we're gonna have like overall sideways fluctuations. And another thing is that the highest high and the lowest low are gonna be within close time proximity to each other. Looks like that takes place between the 7th and possibly the 13th, and then we have possibly another highest high here. I'm going to put that over here just as like a possibility, because they're within close proximity to each other. But what I see is a high to a low to a high, and then again over here we have a lowest low, and it looks like probably a higher, even here, like possibly a highest high and a lowest low in these last 2 days. There's a lot going on. Let's get into it. A matter of fact, let's take a look at the December reading. When we're done with the shuffle, we'll take a look at this the December reading and see how we did. Behavior on the 1st, we have a notable move to the upside, pushing the upper end of a range higher. On the 2nd, we have sideways rotation along key support. Okay, key support here. There's a correlation here to the change card. So key support here on the 2nd, and it looks like there's a sharp dip in that period of sideways rotation along key support, and we revisit a crest that was recently a past opportunity. I might have missed another highest high out here. It's possible that we rally into another highest high in January. I believe I did this reading like the day retrograde's influence has started, so it's hard to say, but it's possible that there's another this is also important to point out. There's like a lowest low early in the month of February, followed by like this big move to the upside, and then another low here towards the end of the month, and it looks like another big move to the upside. And that's the shuffle. So let's take a look at and see how we did in December. Okay, so I was off by a couple days on the highest high. We had a highest high on the 5th. I have it for the 7th. And then it looks like a prominent trough on the 6th, 7th as well. I got it for the 6th. Got it for the 7th. Another prominent crest on the 8th, is it? Yep. And you could say that is a day off as well. We go from like this low here to this crest there, and then a low here and another crest. let's see, what is that, the 13th? Interesting. So there's this opportunity on the 13th. This trade opportunity to open up a short position here on the 13th, and it looks like close that short position there on the 28th, and that's where we have the low for the month on the 28th. I was a bit off. I had the 21st, which isn't far away. It's like 3 days off. The overall trend direction and the sideways fluctuating decline preceding a rally. I mean, I nailed that. This is this is going to end up being a very important bottom here as well, as indicated by the death card. Look at this bottom. This is going to be significant, guys. A significant bottom on a multi-day chart. It'll stand out. What else? 23rd. So 23rd we had a prominent crest. 21st we had a prominent off by a day there, but still the 20th we had a prominent crest, because we went from this low all the way back to like this top here, and then we went down, missed this prominent trough on the 21st that I had, missed it by a day. It's on the 22nd. Prominent crest on the 23rd. That was accurate. Prominent trough. I had a prominent trough on the 26th, but that's really where the lowest low should have been. And then we see it again. Let me get rid of this line so you can see it. Well, we come close to it again on the 29th. Interesting. And then there's the sneak preview with the Devil card and the Ruin card here. Speaking of the following month, a speech at the end of the month. Go from a high to a low, back to a high. It looks like. I mean, it all kind of lines up. But I'd say that's that accuracy is probably in the low 90s. Not my best work, but for overall trend direction, pretty solid. Even if you missed it by a couple of days and you held on, you still would have been, for these trades, you still would have been pretty good. Pretty accurate, especially when we look at when it was created. The December SPCE reading was created November 9th, 2022, almost a month ahead of its relevance. So far our trade has been solid. We opened up a position January 4th. We were off by just like a day here, but we opened up a position here at 360 after we said in December that we were going to see a price level. We said in November actually we would see a price level around the threes. We saw that here towards the end of the month of December, and then I advised myself to open up a long position here on the 4th. And we've had just like this monster rally out of that purchase. Look, it was like at the low almost, like 360. I mean, so here we are now, right? And I think probably we've got more upside to go. We may even see like this $7 range in January. Who knows? It's starting to pick up speed, you know. So we'll see. But then when we get into February, we probably come up against like a crest that we saw at the end of the month. In of January, we see it again here. We revisit it, and there's like a sharp dip. On the 3rd, we rally into a key resistance level, and then there's a decline from that resistance level with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. Over the weekend, a gap up with a U-shaped dip on the 6th. Midday low on the 6th, and I should also say prominent crest for the month on the 2nd. Midday low on the 6th. That's a day's low, midday on the 6th. And then on the 7th, we have a highest probability of the highest high. It may be the same price level as the 2nd, or it may be higher. From that price level, There's a notable decline. There's a failed attempt to break through a key resistance level, followed by a decline through key support, and we have a correlation here to the works card again. So we may see that sideways rotation along that support level. We may see that support level again here on the 7th. Out of a low or out of a decline that on the 7th into the 8th, there's a notable move to the upside and a failed attempt to break through key resistance. It looks like again. Likely a gap down on the 9th. There's a prominent low on the 8th, 9th, and a prominent a highest high on the 7th, prominent high on the 8th. So we go from like a high to a low. And there's a notable move to the upside on the 9th out of like this prominent trough or low with another crest, peak or crest, prominent peak or crest on the cusp here of the 9th, 10th. With a notable move to the upside to reach for a distant resistance. This won't be as high as the high here on the 7th, 8th though. And then midday, there's a decline midday to be careful of. Even though there's a move to the upside for distant resistance here on the 10th, there's a decline in the middle of the day. On the 13th, we have a prominent trough. This possibly a lowest low here, but there's a prominent trough here. And I say possibly lowest low here because we go from like a highest high here, and they're in close proximity. So we may see a lowest low here. We may not. It's not the highest probability, but it's possible. And we do sideways rotation along key support on the 13th. Another reason why it could be a lowest low. Key support is the lowest low, right? So sideways rotation along key support on the 13th, increasing with, it looks like bullish sideways rotation, and there's like bullish momentum towards the end of the day, and then we fall through on the 14th. We fall through a support level that we had recently fallen through once before, so probably, you know, we fell through it like between the 7th and the 14th, somewhere in there. We fell through it once before. And then on the 15th, prominent resistance, like a key resistance level where volume kind of flattens out. There's 3 pokes through the same price level with a notable move to the upside towards the end of the day, and then a sharp drop off of that 3rd poke. But there's most likely a highest high here. This is either a very prominent high and a better place to get in on the short position than the 7th, or it's the same highest high as the 7th. And there's a notable trade opportunity here. I'll get into that in the paid version. On the 16th, it looks like out of probably a gap down overnight into the 16th, there's a sideways fluctuating rally and an opportunity to open up some protection again there at the end of the day on the 16th, bumping along resistance on the 17th with a sharp. We may even see a big move to the upside towards the end of the day on the 17th for like a prominent crest or peak for the month. Not a highest high, but a prominent crest or peak. The difference being, guys, this is a prominent peak or crest, a prominent peak or crest. This is a highest high, if that makes sense. Prominent peak or crest, prominent peak or crest, prominent peak or crest, highest high. Okay? But there's a notable decline, it looks like, from this price level that we see here on the 15th, possibly again on the 17th, I don't know. But there's a notable decline. It looks like over the weekend we end up at a lowest low on the 21st. And there's a rally out of that lowest low, increasing with momentum as we move forward into the day. End of the day, there's a notable move to the upside, even like a bit of a breakout, at least on a one-day scale. On the 22nd, towards the end of the day, it looks like another breakout on a one-day scale at least. Towards the end of the day, to reach on the 22nd, to reach another prominent crest or peak, and then a sharp decline off of the prominent crest or peak that we have there on the 22nd, 23rd cusp. There's a sharp decline standing out on a 1 month on the 23rd, bringing us back to a lowest low. And then on the 24th, there's an intentional fake out, shake out, or some sort of misdirection created through chart behavior. I'm advised to be cautious there. There's a support level highlighted there, correlation to the works card. Yeah, and a fast sudden move higher, it looks like, on the 27th, possibly taking us back to a highest high or to a prominent crest or peak there followed by the halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support on the 28th and possibly back to a lowest low. But it would be much more prudent. I'm not so sure about this lowest low and this highest high here. It could happen, but there would be a lot of price movement to do that. It would be more prudent to close out of a short position here on the 23rd and open up a long position here on the 23rd. I'm not being advised to trade on the 28th or the 27th. It's important to point out. I am being advised to trade on the 23rd. And then the sneak preview for March, we have a sharp decline through multiple support levels, but there's also a prominent crest and a prominent trough in there. And then when we look at the 1 year, right, we had this highest high in February, or a prominent crest or peak for the year in February. And then a notable decline, and then it looks like we rally in the end of February with an opportunity to open up some protection towards the end of February again. Prominent crest and peak, or peak, and a prominent trough or peak, both in March for the year. So that's important to point out, and it also goes hand in hand with when we look at the February sneak preview. They're within close proximity to each other there as well. I think we probably have a better opportunity. Like if you open up a long position here on the 23rd, there's a better opportunity to close it in the following month of March than to do so here on the 27th. Just important to point out. And I'll get into these trades in more detail in the paid version in just a minute. Guys, if you don't have the paid version, you're interested in checking it out, go to the website tarotfortraders.com, hit on the our services, Eso-Meta forecast, learn more. Click here for your monthly forecast, and then put in the ticker that you're interested in. It's only going to be at $29 a month for a very limited time, guys. On the 19th, this goes to $50. You'll never see it at $29 again. If you want to grandfather in that price, please, you got to do so before the 19th of January, my friends. This is the best way to support the channel, and you better believe and remember everybody's name who signs up for one of these, because you're also allowing the channel to put out a public version that doesn't have all the trade information, but it supports our ability to put out a public version for everybody else. So much appreciated. And I'll see you guys on the next portion.